We're consistently
gonna do this.
talking over each other all the time, but it's out of just a joy of just wanting to get out all the information.
So anyways, yeah, Ruth kind of gave us a little bit, before I wanted to just like thank Halifax Social Network and Kate. See, I'm just like moving the microphone around. But yeah, I just am so grateful that we're here and getting to talk about it to a group of people instead of just individual people all over the place. So yeah, here, I'll pass it to you.
Okay. So why don't we introduce ourselves? My name is Amy Grace. I'm a writer and producer here in Halifax, working predominantly in theater, film, and television, and just really anything creative that sparks my joy. Yeah.
And I'm Claire Fraser, so I am running a full-time photography and videography business, and so I'm super about entrepreneur and busy life, and there's side hustles to side hustles. So we side hustled and started Brilliancy, which is a platform for here.
Brilliancy is a platform for sharing the women's voice, sharing women who are creative, who are innovative, and who are just wanting to do all the things. And I think that's something that we have a ton of here in Halifax. Kate is someone that we already were able to highlight. Ruth is someone that we highlighted. And we have two projects underneath Brilliancy. One is the Spotlight Series, which is a monthly spotlight where we share a woman and we ask her 5 questions. They're the same 5 questions every time. So we get to do that every single month. And then we also have another project.
So we're doing a documentary. It's a feature-length documentary, and it's on young female entrepreneurs. The title is Still Working, so that might change over time. But basically, I grew up with my dad's an entrepreneur, so my sister became an entrepreneur, and I became an entrepreneur, and I realized that there was very few people in my high school that I saw becoming an entrepreneur, and one of my friends who opened Cal Hot Yoga, she came back in town and opened that, and I interviewed her separately from this project, and it kind of sparked this idea of I really want to be helping more people want to start a business. So I know we're focusing mostly on women here because, well, I can personally relate, and there's a lot of challenges being a woman starting a business, but I'm hoping other people will also learn from it too. But what so far we're realizing is that most people don't even consider that starting a business is a possibility, and everyone we've interviewed so far, which is only 4 people, we just started in January for the documentary, a parent somewhere in their life is an entrepreneur, and we are really found that very interesting that maybe people that don't have a parent who's an entrepreneur might not even consider that starting a business is a possibility. So with this documentary, we want to kind of show people that you can start a business, and with the documentary as well, we want to show our process of making the documentary, the challenges that we're going through, just kind of step by step and almost like a metaphor of what it's like to start a business, so you can see that it's possible for you to do it. So in the meantime, we're also highlighting local businesses like Kate here at the Tear Shop. We were in 2 Sundays ago and had a wonderful time with her. And yeah, and then we also want to highlight different organizations and maybe school programs that also help not just women, but people start businesses, so that we kind of know what our next step could be if we have an idea.
So just to take you back to why we even started Brilliancy in the first place, I was at a conference and I had met Claire there in passing, and I just kind of took in the atmosphere and realized that this woman, whoever she was, she had this brilliant, quiet confidence about her, and she was working the conference. She was taking photos and filming, and I just thought, she's cool. So whatever, I'm going about my life and trying to figure out what, my next project is, and I'm realizing that the spotlights that I'm doing on my blog aren't really giving justice to the women that I'm highlighting. So how do I make that more accessible, more interesting? That, well, maybe if we put it into a film kind of concept, maybe on YouTube, that would be interesting and people would be able to actually see this. So then I reached out to Claire, and that's kind of when this all started, and I didn't know who she was. I just was like, cool, I like you, I like your vibe, let's have a meeting.
Yeah, so around this time when she reached out, which was in July of 2018, I had just sort of recently finished up a short documentary that had a lot of baggage that went along with it, and I felt a little bit creatively depleted a little bit before this time, and I was ready to start on my next creative endeavor. and I had this little idea of the documentary at the back of my mind, but I hadn't pitched it to anyone. So when Amy arranged this meeting, and I was just like, I had no idea what I was going into. I was like, I like meeting people, you know, might as well, it's just down the street. So we sat down and met, and she told me all about the spotlight, and usually I don't really have time for those sort of projects because I'm also running a full-time business, but there was just something that spoke to me about her and what she was doing. And then I pitched my idea for this project, which I had not pitched to anyone before. It was just like inside my head at this time. And we were like, we have 2 projects right now that they go hand in hand. And so we took this meeting from 2FIC and went to my house up the street, and we were like, all right, this is meeting number 2, but it's also the same day. So we brainstormed Brilliancy. So it's Brilliancy, like sea, ocean, like SEA. So like a sea of brilliance, a space, and you know what? And it's a platform where we can do multiple projects. Like right now, these are the 2 projects that we're doing, but we want it to grow, and we don't know how. We're just kind of like following along with it, and we aren't really working off of a schedule. We set, it was funny, at that same meeting in July, we were like, let's launch this in January. And it's like, I don't know, like, I'm busy shooting 13 weddings right now. Like, I can't promise you that I'm going to be able to do this. But we just kind of, I think we owed it to each other to make the next step.
And I think that is really one of the main things that we wanted to share with you today was about collaboration and honoring each other in collaboration. I think that, you know, we're consistently at social media comparing ourselves to other people, looking for someone to work with or wanting to just do all the things. And I think the collaboration that I've been able to find with Claire has been firstly authentic, which I know sounds trite or just annoying because it's like, great, your connection's authentic. Like, how do I go out and find an authentic connection? But I think it really does have to be authentic, otherwise it's not going to work. And I've tried many different projects, I've tried many different things, but the one thing that ties me to this woman, and I just, honestly, I could just burst into tears with joy, is just that I think she's amazing, and she brings so much to the table. But like, I know that she has what I don't have, and that's what makes us work, that honoring of each other and our skill sets. So yeah, I'll be the one writing everything down and doing all the admin, and that's great, that's what I like doing. And I think we went into our collaboration honoring each other from the get-go, and that is super huge when you're working with other people.
So that brings me to the next main thing that I wanted to talk about was finding time for passion projects. So I think the biggest thing in how we are finding time for this passion project is that we owe it, it's not that we owe it to each other, but we do kind of actually. We do owe our time. Like, she's a mother and I'm a full-time, like, and she also works and she has her blog going, and like, we have like our busy life. Like, we really could say we don't have time for these sort of things, and like, anyone could have that excuse. It's like, oh, I work a full-time job for so-and-so, like, I don't have time for my own creativity. And like, actually a girl that I was working with recently was like, I'm so inspired by what you're doing, I just want to be doing that, but I'm working here, and it's like, I'm also doing a full-time contract here and running the business and doing this, so you can make time for it. Like, it's not that I'm super great at scheduling, it's just not setting these schedules for ourselves. Like, this passion project is really about letting it guide us, and we make the next step. We're like, oh, we have Sunday open, let's reach out to Kate and see if she has Sunday open. Oh, like, there's someone else we wanted to reach out to, let's just see. And we don't book too far ahead. Like, we're just literally like 1 week ahead. Okay, what day is available? All right. And then I was trying to book too far ahead in like April, and Amy's like, oh my God. So it really is like, find what you're passionate about and just start doing it. Like, and another big thing we're trying to figure out right now is funding for our documentary. Neither of us are ever been ones to chase money. Like, I didn't get a loan when I started my business. It's just like, I don't like to owe money, and it's just kind of like my way of being is just like, I have it, I can have it if I have it. If I have the money for it, I can invest into it.
Yeah.
So finding funding for a project is a little bit new to me, and it's almost making me a bit nervous, which I think I also want to show this part in the documentary of like, you can't always do it all by yourself, and it's almost good to bring in other people, other organizations, other ways to help bring these projects forward. Where am I going with this?
I think that just really just brings the point that we're just taking everything in stride. And I think when you start anything, when you do anything, you can't try to force it to be what it might not be. And I think one of the things that we're working on is treating it like it's a baby. Like, we had this idea, it was an infant, or like it was technically like
a newborn.
It's just a newborn right now. So you don't say to a newborn, you're gonna be a doctor. Like, you just don't do that. So we're just learning, we're learning what brilliant, I mean, some people might do that, but we are trying not to tell our little baby, our little child that's growing, what it's gonna be. So brilliancy is something we're proud of. Is something we're nurturing, and we really want to just include everyone in the process, to share about how much we just love sharing about other women in this city, other women out there in the world beyond our reach, and we just are super happy about it.
And so far with the people that we have interviewed, it's just been, like Ruth kind of mentioned, you could tell she didn't really have words. We don't even know what we're doing, really. Like, we're just having these conversations with people. Like, we have these questions. Like, we didn't think too heavily. It's like, these are questions I'm really curious about. Like, I want to know. And we're just, like, triggering these really deep conversations. Like, we interviewed a girl at a flower shop, and like she's teared up, and we started crying. We all started crying. It's like we're talking about a flower shop, and it was just like really so empowering. And then she made a post like 2 days later, be like, because of this interview with Brilliancy, I started thinking about my life and all these things that I'm proud of. And it's like being able to facilitate that for other people is like, I can't even like explain how incredible it is. And I
want to serve you. We want to serve you. I think that's the whole point. We're just blessed by it.
And I like to think that like this project is growing naturally, but if I do one of these interviews, I could be at the end of the day and be like, look, that was enough. Like that, I was so happy. That was such a positive experience. I don't need to go the next step, but we are. It's just about really enjoying each step of the way. It's not like we're putting all this hard labor into this and like overworking ourselves so the happy end result, like, as long as you're enjoying each single step of the process, like, make it positive, make it fun, like, and that's just kind of what's happening. And like having Ruth in the studio, and we got this amazing shot of her, like, I don't know if you've seen it, she did share, but she's like leaning over the stool that we were
so good.
And what we also love about it is we had this huge discussion on the stool. Like, we need a stool for the people to sit in, and like the studio is so small, and most of the business spaces we come into are just too small to actually show the wide shot of the stool. So it's like having Ruth leaning over the stool that we spent $100 on was really wonderful.
It was really good. I'm pretty sure that's all we really have to say tonight. But please.
If you want to show them
why don't you show them? Please give us a follow if you're remotely interested in keeping up with how we grow and how we change. And
anything that looks like this is us.
Yeah.
So
we're the only word on the internet probably called Brilliancy.
Like the ocean.
Yeah. So yeah, our hashtag is she is brilliant, and Brilliancy is our handle.
And thank you.
Thank you so much.